For starters, I'm an indie developer. I recently finished a game. Well, not exactly finished, but pretty much, and it's about to be launched on Steam any day now. The game is called Phenom Overdrive, and now that I'm finished it, I'm finding myself with a lot of time that I didn't have, and the reality is that I wanted to check on Godot, the lasted version from a long time, but I didn't because the project I was working on was on the last version, and I mean 3.5, Godot 3.5, and I didn't want it to go to 4 because that could complicate things. Of course, back then, that decision, I made that decision more than a year ago, so I thought I will be finished in maybe 6 months or so, but things happened. It became a complicated thing, so I wasn't able to finish until much later. But I still decided not to go and try to change the project for Godot 4 because that will just add time for the development. So I never check uh, on Godot 4. I had the intention. I also have had the intention on start recording at least some of my and because back then, of course, it was more than a year ago, but back then I thought I will be finished with the project in just probably 6 months or so. So I decided not to make the upgrade to Godot 4 because, well, it could complicate things. And I didn't want that. I already felt comfortable with 3.5 at that point. I already committed, and I just made the decision to keep going. Of course, development things happen, and well, it took me much more time. And during that time, I decided not to check on Godot 4. I decided to focus completely on finishing the game. Another thing that I wanted to do was, of course, recording myself developing the game, or more shaking game engine, shaking stuff, and giving my opinion on it. I'm not a pro developer. I'm not a professional programmer. I'm just a dude having a hobby, but I wanted to do that, and of course, I didn't also have the time because I was focused on finishing development on Phenom Overdrive. So now that I'm pretty much finished, I'm having the time to do both things. So this is the first things I'll be doing. Will be checking the new the new version. Right now is at 4.21. I haven't checked even God 4. I know that there are many differences, so I will be checking and just exploring it. This is just exploring it. Maybe I'll find something, maybe not. I have no idea what the changes are. Like I said, I was deep in development, so I didn't read much on the upgrades or so. I know that in terms of 3D graphics, it's much better, and in terms of 2D also, I think the tile map was improved greatly. That's great. Because that's something I even though my game is 2D, I have trouble with that one for sure. Uh, but yeah, let's. Well, right now I'm not connected to the internet, so uh, let's just make a new project and just explore around. Let's see. Let's see what is here. Forward plus, of course, that's probably all the new things. Now there's an option for metadata. I don't remember if 3.5. I think 3.5 had something like that. It's been a long time since I made a new project on 3.5 compatibility. Support. Okay, so mobile. Let's go for plus. That's all the features. Let's just share. I don't think I will be making anything on Git. I don't even have. Uh, I don't know if I should. Well, whatever. Those are the default options. Testing grounds. Yay. Now I can do it. Okay, so let's do this. And let's wait until the program is ready. This is not. I don't have a particularly strong computer fast. Well, there are quite a couple different things I can see. Now the color is different in terms of the 3D. I wonder if that's a change on purpose. Now I never use the 3D option for my game. It was only a 2D, so I'm definitely not an expert on what the changes are in 3D. But I can see also a forward plus here. And what is, there's a couple, enable movie maker. So there's a movie maker thing. There's an animation player. Yeah, it's there. There's a 2D. Okay, 2D is exactly the same. Well, at least so far that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Well, you know what I mean. I'm not a native English speaker, so sorry if I may sound weird. If you didn't notice, I bet most of you noticed by now. History, the beginning. The beginning. What? I mean, this is. I guess that's if I do something. Let's just. Okay, there you go. That's what it is. So if I put the beginning. So the beginning of when I turn on the application, I'm going to guess. This is a funny name. It sounds like it's the beginning of a story or something like that. So yeah, I guess we have. So let's check. I bet among the first things people check is what is new in terms of nodes, because this is the basics of how games are created here on Godot. So navigation or region to the a traversable to the region. Can use pathfinding. Okay. So pathfinding change a little bit. Navigational obstacle. Okay. So pathfinding tools, of course. Visible on screen notifier. A rectangular that detects whenever it is visible on screen. Remote transform to the. There's definitely quite a few things here. I might have to check on guys because I have no idea what many of these things are. Remote transfer pushes its own tree. Oh. Remote. So I can control the transform of another object with this object. That makes me wonder what. Marker. Did they change the name for this one? Wasn't this position to the. I don't remember if it was called position 2D, but I will use something like this. I think. I think marker 2D is what used to be position 2D. Marker for generic 2D position hint for editing. I think that's the same. GPU particles and CPU particles are both still here. Of course, directional light. Light 2D. There's a little bit of a change here. Definitely. This is definitely new. I'm seeing quite a lot of new things here. Now I bet 3D is even probably, well, I will not know because like I say I never use 3D, but it will be crazy. Maybe I should start like a little project or something like that, just to learn how to do how it really works in Godot. I used to have a little bit of experience with Unity back in the past because I started developing on Unity, but that was a long time ago, like in 2012. That's around the time I think I started learning Unity. But around 2018, I moved to Godot for some reasons. I don't even, well, I sort of remember, but that's not the point. Doesn't I don't want to talk about it, at least not this time. Maybe in the future I may talk about it. So box containers, well, they changed the box container icon, probably not to make it confuse, not to make sure that it's not confused. And there's an aspect ratio. I think the aspect ratio container is new, and this is useful because this is something that could cause trouble, especially when you were resizing things dynamically. They could change the aspect ratio if you weren't careful. So this is definitely a useful thing here. Center container. Again, keeping things in the center could be a problem too, especially when resizing windows. Flow container that arranges flow. I definitely will have to check a video on it. I will be checking with KidsCan code so that they help me understand what what all this is. Graph element, something new. Container, a container that represents a basic element that can be placed inside a graph edit control. Graph edit control. And a graph node, a container with connection ports representing a node in graph edit. What is a graph edit? Oh, so that's like a level up system or something like that, right? An editor for graph, like, yeah, making this in 3.5 was not easy. I never tried. This could also be like a cool level select, like in games like Outrun, the Sega game, the racing game, where depending on how you finish the race, you will continue on to the next level, the next race on another completely different place. You can probably use it for something like this. At least that's my assumption. Split container. Okay, yeah, that's it's just a different icon again. Panel container. Okay. Sub viewport container. Sub viewport container. Viewport could be a problem. Could be problems too. You really have to be careful about this sort of stuff. Sub viewport. A container used for displaying the contents of a sub viewport. So there is a sub viewport node. There is a sub viewport node. Yes, and it's not a control node, it's just a node. So an interface to a gamer that doesn't create a window or draw to the screen directly. I wonder if you can now still use viewport and use viewport as the node. It doesn't seem like it's the case. It just seems. Let's check on that. Yeah, you cannot create. You create a? You cannot create a viewport like you were able to. So you have to either create a window for a window or a sub viewport. Well, interesting thing. Interesting change. And probably for the better because, like I said, viewports could be problematic. They didn't have that much use in 3D, in 2D, if I'm honest. I think if you were making a 2D game, you're better off completely ignoring the existence of viewports. I mean, you cannot completely ignore the existence, but yeah. Of course, canvas item, which has the 2D stuff, and both control and no 2D are part of it, and no 3D. Of course, that's where everyone is no doubt focusing on raving about all these kids and their 3D. Yeah, yeah. I'm not even going to try to explore this. I have no idea how this all works. But let's check here. Animation mixer. So there is now a base class for animation. Maybe it's this one and controls both the three. Maybe it's the same and this is just an easy way to visualize how it works. Yeah, definitely there's a learning curve for the new stuff in Godot. Audio stream player. This is just a global. Is there a is this is just a global audio stream player? Is there a positionally audio stream player? Yeah, audio stream player. And 3D has to have its own audio stream player 3D, of course, for surround sound, probably. Canvas layer, and of course parallax background. Okay, so not much change here. Hmm. Multiplayer tools. Really? An online tool. Some this definitely, yeah, definitely this engine have become way more, way more complete. Navigation agent. Let's see what I used to pathfind and pathfinding 3D. Resource preloader. This might be a good thing because sometimes, and I'm not really sure what the problem was, but I remember that sometimes I had to pretty much load uh, many resources or many objects, many complete objects from the very beginning in a stage, and then just uh, remove them until they spawn. Because if I didn't do that, when they spawn, there will be it will stutter. It will stutter a little bit. I don't know if this is why this exists, but that made me wonder a lot. If I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I see resource preloader. Yeah, is to make sure you have everything that you need for your level before the level starts, so that you are not looking for it and causing unnecessary pauses or maybe drops in frame rate or whatnot. Shader global override, and I'll use to override global shader parameters. Oh, this is like a scene wide sort of single thing, like a singleton. Well, I have to say that the autoloads, are there still autoloads? I will check if there are still autoloads, but autoloads, they're not exactly like singletons, and they can be a little bit weird. Maybe I'll make a video about that, because I do have a couple opinions about it. They are not necessarily negative. It's just that Godot has his own way of dealing with this stuff. Or maybe it's just that I don't get the concept of singleton, how how it is, and whatever I think a singleton is not really what a singleton is. I will blame Unity for that because that's where I learned what a singleton was. So whenever someone tells me what a singleton, well, it's just like Unity. You have a script that uh, you can access the stuff inside it everywhere from every other object, like a global thing. And that's when but shader global override. Right. So this is for shaders. So okay. So probably the auto loads are still the same, but this is for the shaders, because the thing about shaders, especially when you're dealing with materials, you oftentimes could not uh, easily edit the stuff inside the shader from an object outside the shader. So if you were using like this node to the wall, let's say it's a player and you have an enemy, and maybe you interact with the enemy, and you want to make sure that uh, the enemy node in its script, of course, the node will have a script that will then tell the shader do this, and that could be hard if there was not an easy way. There was not an easy way to access the shader stuff so that it will do what you wanted. So what you had to do is pretty much make, well, I don't even remember. I'm not a shader expert, but I remember that you pretty much have to. What do you call it? I forget the word that is used for that. Let me add a sprite to it. Let me add a sprite, because now, so you have a material. Let's just create. Let's just create easily a new shader, and shader. Let's just put new shader. There is no visual canvas item particles. Even the shaders have. Oh, there's a visual shader. Nini. So we have Nini here. Let's quickly check Nini here. So Nini. And they definitely added a lot of stuff here. Functions. I cannot believe. Let's just try. A float. Is this what it is? Are we calling them parameters now? Oh. Oh, and it can be global, so it's parameters now. I see. I see. They used to have a different name, and I completely forgot what the name was. That really shows you that. That really shows you that I really hardly ever use it. Hardly ever use it, but that really, now I'm pissed off because I forgot how I can. Do I have 3.5 here? I'm going to quickly check 3.5 here. Yeah, thank you, 3.5. Uniform. That was the word. Uniform. Is there? There is no uniform here. No longer. It's no longer. It's now all globals, and that's a better change because you had to pretty much go into the material and check for those uniforms, and it was not a particularly simple process. Like, definitely, this is a huge improvement. This is a huge improvement. Having that global shader globals override. In terms of making it easier, of course, if you were a professional shader master, it doesn't matter. You're already beating this. This was no problem for you. I'm talking about, you know, the hobos like me, the hobos programmers like me. Yeah, here change. Well, at least they make they made it a little bit easier. I still don't get shaders that much, but hey. So uniforms. That's how it was called when you wanted to make a parameter sort of public, sort of. It wasn't really public or global, but you could access it through the editor. That's what I meant. So it was not just inside the script, but it was sort of part of the editor too. At least a part of the inspector. You could at least uh, seek it. But yeah, skeleton IQ 3D. I don't know if this is something new. Timer and war environment. These are used a lot, especially because using yield is not something you want in Godot. Supposedly it causes a lot of problems. I took that word as faith, so I just pretty much replaced everything. Of course, I came from Unity, so in Unity you just yield everything. But that was a bad habit. I changed it. I changed everything to timers. Every time I yield it, it will instead be used. And to be fair, when I finally understood it well, I'm not saying that I understand it perfectly, but when I understood it well, it was very useful. It was very useful. It's very simple. Thread. Now there's thread groups. Well, then that's another thing I should be checking. Now that I check probably the most important, interesting thing, another very important thing are the settings and stuff. What you can do. So let's. Mm-hmm. Some localization thing, version. I don't have a main scene yet. Okay, so far, window. Mm-hmm. Really, why is it always this and not something like 1080p? I did change in Phenom Overdrive. I did change it. I think to 720p. I think, but yeah, maybe because it's window. The will it change? No, it doesn't change. Primary, initial position, whatever, resizable on. Borderless, not. So no borderless full screen, I guess you can choose. Stretch mode. Okay, so it's fractional. Yeah. Okay, yeah, integer scale. Probably not available if. Oh, you can still. Well, okay. Okay. Orientation landscape. Basic mode enable. Really? And the custom image. I almost was going to say where the custom image is, but the oh, there are advanced. Oh my god! Oh my god! So I don't have the advanced settings. I'm checking the basic settings. Okay, okay. Yeah, I wonder if I can change the color of Godot because there's not much contrast in here where I can put the custom image path. Bosses. You know, it did seem right. It did seem way too simple. Now we're talking. Lots of things. Bosses. I don't think if 3.5 had this, but this is also useful because what I did is that I pretty much, well, when I program Phenom Overdrive, I've told the game that is if it's under certain threshold. I think it was 30 in my case, but if it's under 30, just mute. In here is pretty much under 60, then it will just mute or disable the. Oh, it's for CPU performance. Okay. I wonder if a little company like Sound, 3D Sound, positional sound, is possible now with. I mean, it was probably possible in 3.5, but with all the added tools, it might be much easier to. Video delay. Is this for adding lag? Okay. I guess making sure it fits. So the editor physics run on separate thread. There's a lot of multi-threading going on with Godot 4. And default, there's different physics engines. Godot physics. I wonder if you could add another one like the NVIDIA one. What was it? Physics, FixX, or how if you could just add something like that as a plugin. I mean, it's cool that you can change the physics engine, but how much flexibility is there? And that's the question. Godot Physics 3D and default. Is default by any chance Godot Physics 3D? Like, are they the same? And this is just here in case you have other physics engines. I wonder if this is to make sure the game runs properly when if it lets you make the game compatible with high refresh rate uh, monitors by making the game run properly at those very high frame rates. I don't think the 3.5 had anything like that. So debug. Uh-huh. Linear, really? I will have guessed linear map will be the default, but no, linear, just linear. I guess because map makes it a little bit blurrier. In 2D, you might not want to use maps, but in 3D, I will say probably linear map is the way to go. But hey, whatever. What? What? No, 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 no. Multi-threaded. We live in the future. What is this single threaded thing? Anyway, for now, it might be single is the safest. So for now, yeah, well, I guess. Limits. Camera. I'm pretty sure people will be playing a lot with this stuff. I don't think this was on 3.5 again. Maybe the jitter one, but the Buka shape, no, definitely not. Environment. SSR. Ambient occlusion here. Was that there? I don't remember. I didn't did. I like I said, I hardly did any 3D, so but I don't think I remember if there was even ambient occlusion until this one. Oh, MSA. Oh, this is already way better. Not sure what this one does, but MSA 2 did one of the biggest things about Godot 3.5 is that there's not really much choice for anti-aliasing anti-aliasing in in 2D. I mean, there was FX anti-aliasing, but that just makes the whole thing blurrier. And besides that, there was nothing because I think the only other option was MSA, but it only worked in 3D. What about, and there wasn't a super sampling version. There is still not an option for super sampling, but having MS anti-aliasing, that is already a big improvement over 3.5, definitely. HDR2D, what the heck? Yeah, well, you use for making things glossy, you will use the world environment and exaggerate the color, and that pretty much that's how you get the glows and stuff like that. But it's cool that there's an additional tool. Seems to be it will be good to explore.